6 years ago, Maya Rook walked down the aisle with a heart full of dreams and a smile that could light up the darkest sky. She was marrying the love of her life, her childhood sweetheart, her best friend. The church was full. The white roses were fresh. It was supposed to be the beginning of forever. But for Maya Rook, forever began to feel more like a ticking clock. Maya came from a powerful family, the Rooks, a name that opened doors. Influential, educated, wealthy, sophisticated. People respected the Rooks, but no one really looked inside. Not until Maya did. She had always been a thoughtful girl. Too thoughtful, some would say. From a young age, she dreamed of a family. A real one. A husband. Children. Laughter echoing down a hallway that belonged to them. So why, by the time she turned 30, was love still playing hide and seek? She looked around. Beautiful? Check. Well-spoken? Check. Ambitious? Check. Spiritually grounded? As much as anyone raised in a family where logic and success ruled. But love? Every time someone serious came along, things just unraveled. No warning. No real reason. And one cold December night, sitting by the fireplace in her father's library, something hit her. Not a memory. Not a thought. More like a realization. Wait, isn't it strange that no woman in the Rooks family has ever had a real wedding? She thought back. Her aunties? Her cousins? All single, or living with men who never married them. Cousins? One had a baby with a man who ghosted her after meeting her family. Another's engagement broke off a week before the wedding. Her youngest auntie, the last child of the Rooks, gave birth to 6 girls. She has never been married. And her last child, who is the youngest of the Rooks' grandchildren, she was 18 and already saying, "Marriage is not for me." 25 women, female children and grandchildren of the Rooks. Not one proper marriage. Not one father giving away his daughter. Not one ring exchange before God. Not even a court wedding. It's been series of heartbreaks, confusion, and silence. When Maya asked her mom, hoping to be told she was being dramatic, the silence on the other end of the phone said it all. You're not wrong, Maya. No woman in our family has ever truly been married. The ground beneath her felt like it cracked. Could this be a curse? This can't be normal. But how could this be? The Rooks were too educated to believe in superstition, too powerful to believe in curses, too modern to believe in spirits. Still, Maya couldn't shake the fear curling around her spine like a snake. Back in New York, she finally poured her heart out to her friend, Alice. Alice listened, carefully, and she said something simple. Maya, this isn't ordinary. Then she pulled out a small Bible from her bag. The cover was worn out. She flipped to Ephesians 6 verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Maya's eyes widened. It was right there, in the Bible. Alice looked at her with fire in her eyes and said, if this isn't normal, you can't fight it with normal things. You need the light. Come with me. That Sunday, Alice took Maya to her church. It wasn't a cathedral with stained glass windows. It was small, raw, and alive. The kind of place where the air vibrated with power you couldn't see. The apostle walked in, not tall, not loud. But the moment he opened his mouth, silence fell like rain. He didn't even know Maya's story. But his message that day was for her. There are people walking around chained by battles their great-grandmothers lost. Generational patterns. Cycles. Repeated histories. But you cannot fight darkness with more darkness. You don't break a curse by cursing back. You don't overcome evil with revenge or logic. You overcome evil with light. And the light has a name. Jesus. He said, I am the light of the world. And once the light steps into your family, every shadow must flee. Maya sat in the back row, frozen. Goosebumps ran across her skin. Then the apostle looked straight at her section. God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. Don't accept what they call normal just because it's familiar. You are the one that ends the cycle. You are the one that rewrites the story. That night, Maya didn't sleep. She wept. For her family, her aunts, her cousins. For every woman in her family who'd loved deeply but never been celebrated, never been chosen. She went on her knees, trembling, and whispered, God, if this is not your will, then break it. If you are real, show me. I surrender. I confess you as Lord. Step into the Rook story. Be our light. I want to walk with you. It was quiet, but in her heart, something snapped. Over the next few months, Maya changed. She wasn't chasing love, she was chasing God. She fasted. She prayed. She studied her Bible like her life depended on it. And you know what? Peace came. One day, Maya was walking out of a grocery store, her shopping bag in one hand, when she noticed a very handsome, well-built man walking toward his car. He had this calm, quiet confidence about him. When he saw Maya, he smiled, not just a polite smile, but one that lingered, like he had just seen something familiar, something beautiful. They didn't speak that day, but fate, or something bigger, had plans. Months later, they met again. This time they talked, and soon after, they started dating. His name was Alex, and to Maya, Alex was everything. Tall, gentle, intelligent, funny. He was kind. He treated her with so much love, so much care, it almost felt unreal. It was as if God had finally answered. But then, the same old problem returned. Every time Maya gently asked him about marriage, about the next step, he dodged the question. He would say things like, "Let's not rush things. What we have is already special. We'll get there eventually." But eventually never came. Maya prayed and prayed. She fasted. She believed. She didn't want to be like the other women in her family. She didn't want history to repeat itself. She went back to the church, and this time she met with the apostle. After explaining everything to him, he looked at her and gently began to talk to her, not just to Maya, but to anyone who has ever waited and wept in silence. We live in a world where not everything is seen with the eyes. Evil is real. Patterns are real. But God is real too, and He is bigger than whatever has fought your family. But hear me, you cannot fight evil with fear. You cannot fight darkness with manipulation. You fight with light, with obedience, with service, with faith. God has not given you the spirit of fear, Maya, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. He paused, then looked her straight in the eye. This battle is not yours. You need God to fight it for you. He told Maya to take up a responsibility in the house of God. It doesn't have to be this church, he said, but serve. Go to your church and offer to sweep. Clean God's house like it's your own. And as you sweep, talk to Him. Don't complain. Don't beg. Just worship and pray. Make it your altar. Maya obeyed. Every Saturday morning, before the sun even rose, Maya would go to her church. She'd pick up the broom and sweep the floors, mop the altar, dust the chairs. It became part of her life. The years passed. Yet, nothing changed. Alex still didn't propose. He still avoided the topic. But Maya stayed. She believed her story would be different. That love could conquer whatever was holding her back. She tried everything to fix herself. Maybe if I was more beautiful, he would marry me. So she worked on her looks. She glowed. Maybe if I became more homely. She learned more recipes. Cooked better meals. Maybe if I became better in bed. She read books, tried new things, anything to keep him. Maya became so afraid of losing him. She was willing to do anything. Anything just to hold on. Before she knew it, it was her 34th birthday. 4 years gone. 4 years of giving, hoping, waiting. 4 years with Alex, and still no ring. That morning, Maya took her bath, dressed quietly, and went to church. At the altar, she knelt down and cried, "God, you said in your word that I will not seek you in vain. So why does it feel like you've gone silent? Why does it feel like you're letting me live out the very thing I've feared my whole life? Living with a man, waiting endlessly, without a proper marriage." She wept. Her shoulders shook. Her voice cracked. Then the apostle walked in. He walked slowly, gently, quietly, but his presence brought peace with it. He knelt beside her and said softly, "This battle, Maya, you can't fight it. You need God to fight for you." He didn't speak loud, but the words cut deep. He reminded her again, "Keep sweeping, keep praying, and trust. When it is God's time, He will make it beautiful." Maya left that church with a heart full of questions, but a little more peace. And so, she kept sweeping. Every Saturday, week after week, month after month. But still, nothing changed. At some point, she sighed and whispered to God, "If this is truly your will, then let your will be done." One cloudy afternoon, as she sat quietly in her room reading, her phone rang. She looked down. It was Louis, the wealthiest businessman in New York. They had known each other since they were kids. They grew up together, played together, They spoke maybe twice a year now, but every time they did, it felt warm, familiar. Every time they talked, Louis would say, "My wife," and they would laugh. This time was no different. "My wife," he said cheerfully when she answered. Maya giggled. "Louis, please leave me. You and this your wife talk." "You know I'm serious," he said playfully. "Please," she chuckled. "If you want to marry me, you know where to find my dad." They both laughed, joked a little more, and the call ended. Maya didn't think much of it. She had heard that joke before. She didn't know. The Bible says, "Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear." Isaiah 65, verse 24. 2 weeks later, Maya lost one of her rings. She searched everywhere for it. While looking around, she got a visit from Favor, Alex's youngest sister, who has become Maya's close friend. Favor seemed nervous. She hesitated for a while before finally whispering, "Maya, please don't panic. I need to tell you something." Maya stopped searching. Favor looked her straight in the eye and said, "Alex took your ring." Maya blinked. "What do you mean he took it? Why would he do that?" Favor leaned in. "He and I went with some of his friends to buy your engagement ring. He needed your exact ring size, so he took one you weren't using. It was supposed to be a surprise." Maya gasped. Her heart skipped. Her chest filled with warmth and hope. "Oh my God, it's happening. He's going to propose." She cried tears of joy in her room that day. Finally, her own love story was about to become real. She had waited, prayed, fasted, served. This was it. She couldn't stop smiling. But that happiness didn't last. Just a few days later, out of nowhere, Alex sat her down and said, "Maya, I don't think this is going to work between us." Just like that. No explanation. No build-up. No proposal. Just an end. Maya felt like someone had punched her soul. She stared at him, confused. What are you talking about?" she whispered. Alex stood up and walked away. That night, Maya cried like she had never cried before. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't eat. She rolled on her bed and screamed into her pillow. "God, you are wicked. How could you let this happen? After everything? After 4 years? After all my prayers?" She threw her Bible aside. She questioned everything she ever believed about love and about God. 3 months later, she heard Alex engaged his new girlfriend with the ring he bought to engage her. It was tough. When she had finally begun to heal, Maya met another man. He was kind, gentle, easy to talk to. They started dating, and things moved quickly. 2 months into the relationship, he sat her down. "Maya, there's something I need to tell you." She looked at him, nervous. "Every night since we started talking, I keep having dreams. A dark figure always appears and warns me to stay away from you. I'm scared. I'm sorry. I have to end this." And just like that, he left. Maya gave up. She stopped dating completely. She told herself, "Maybe I'm not meant to be married." She was angry with God. She stopped talking to him like before. But one thing, she never stopped sweeping the church every Saturday. Even when her heart was broken. Even when she felt forgotten. Even when her faith was shaky. She still cleaned. Quietly. Week after week. Then one day, her phone rang. It was Louis. She picked up. "My wife," he said, laughing as usual. Maya smiled. "Louis, I beg stop this your usual play." But this time, Louis didn't laugh much. His voice sounded different. More serious. "Maya, I think it's time." "Time for what?" she said, still smiling. "I want to marry you." She laughed hard. "Louis, please. Stop. You play too much." He stayed quiet for a moment, then repeated, "I'm serious." Maya sighed and replied jokingly, "Well, you know where to find my dad. If you want to marry me, go and meet him." They laughed it off and moved on. Maya didn't think much of it. Louis had joked like this for years. But what Maya didn't know was, before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65, verse 24. Weeks later, her phone rang again. It was Louis. "Maya, I'm in your dad's house." She laughed. "Please stop lying. You've started again." He said nothing. Maya quickly ended the call. She thought it was just another joke. But a few minutes later, her dad called. "Maya, someone is here. He says he wants to marry you." Maya stood up from the bed, shouting, "Daddy, no. No, no, no. Don't collect anything from him." She ended the call in panic. Heart racing, she dialed her apostle immediately. "Apostle, he went to see my dad. I didn't think he was see. I was only joking. What do I do?" The apostle didn't sound surprised. He calmly said a short prayer over the phone, then told her gently, "If you like him, Maya, let him go ahead. Sometimes, God moves when you least expect it." That was all. Back at home, Maya's dad was still trying to process what had just happened. He sat across from Louis, who was smiling confidently. "Well, young man," her father said, "according to tradition, I'm not the one to give you the list. It's the first son, my elder brother." But Louis didn't flinch. He replied calmly, "I understand, sir. But please, I want the list today." Maya's dad looked at him like he was joking. He had heard that line before, many times. No man had ever asked for the list and come back. So, thinking it was just another moment of excitement that would fade, he decided to write out the list quickly. He handed the paper to Louis. Louis called Maya again. "Pack your things. You're coming home with me this weekend. I want to introduce you to my family." Maya was speechless. "You're serious?" "For real. Dead serious," Louis said with a smile. Even then, it still felt like a dream. She went home that weekend. Louis introduced her to his family. They welcomed her warmly, almost like they had been expecting her. And then, only a week later, Louis had gotten everything on the marriage list ready. He gathered his family, dressed in their finest clothes, and they all drove down to Maya's family home to pay her bride price. Everything happened so fast, so unexpectedly. Maya's dad didn't even have time to inform his brothers. The rest of the Rook's family didn't know until it was done. The news spread. When they finally picked a date for the formal introduction, that was the day the Rook's family heard about it. The entire house was buzzing. Some people couldn't believe it. One of Maya's uncles, the eldest of them all, was furious. "How could you give out the list without informing the rest of us?" But the other relatives? They were so happy. Finally, someone from their family was being properly married. Not just married, celebrated. It was like a dark cloud had lifted. The wedding ceremony was something out of a movie. Beautiful, joyful, holy. The hall was packed. The music was sweet. The food never ran out. The decorations sparkled. Maya wore a gown that made her look like a queen. Everyone who saw her that day could see it in her eyes. She was glowing. And Louis? He looked at her like he had just seen God answer his prayers. Maya was so happy. They built a loving, peaceful, God-fearing home. They laughed. They prayed. They made plans together. And from that day, one by one, the women in the Rook's family began to get married. It was as if Maya's breakthrough had opened a door no one could shut. But just when Maya thought her story was complete, something unexpected happened. For years into the marriage, they were still trying to have a baby. They tried everything, but pregnancy wasn't happening. 5 years later, Maya and Louis had now been married for 5 years. Their home was still full of love, still full of laughter. But it was quiet, too quiet. No babies cry, no little feet running around, no child to call them mommy or daddy. Every year, they waited. Every month, they hoped. And every time her period came, Maya would go into the bathroom, sit on the edge of the tub, and cry in silence. She didn't understand. She had obeyed. She had prayed. She had swept the church. She had trusted. Why, God? Why is this happening again? Louis was supportive, always wiping her tears, always holding her hand. But he was hurting too. They went from hospital to hospital. Doctors said nothing was wrong. "You're both fine," they always said. "Just keep trying." They tried everything. Maya even stopped wearing makeup for months, thinking maybe God wanted her plain. She fasted so much her mother started to worry. Still nothing. But one thing she never stopped doing: cleaning the church. Every Saturday, still sweeping, still praying, still hoping. Then one day, after 5 years of waiting, Maya began to feel different. She was tired all the time. Her sense of smell was sharp. And then, she missed her period. She took a pregnancy test at home. Positive. She took another one. Still positive. She fell to her knees and screamed, "God, you did it." Louis cried when she told him. They danced in their living room. They sang. They praised. It was the loudest their home had ever been. The pregnancy went smoothly. Maya prayed every day. She spoke to the baby. Louis would sing to the baby at night. They were ready. But on the day of delivery, the devil fought back. Maya went into labor, and the pain was like nothing she had ever felt. The hospital was cold and busy. Nurses were shouting. Machines were beeping. Maya kept screaming, "Jesus, help me." The doctors tried to keep her calm, but her body wasn't responding well. Her blood pressure dropped. Then, everything went dark. Maya opened her eyes hours later. She was weak. Louis was beside her, holding her hand, tears in his eyes. Then the doctor walked in slowly and said the words that shattered her world. "We're so sorry, but the baby didn't make it." Maya froze. It was like someone had snatched her soul out of her body. She looked down at her flat belly, now empty. She looked at the ceiling, and then she whispered, "No, no, no. My God is not a God of halfway. My God does not bring to the place of birth and not deliver." And then she began to pray. Fire prayers. Loud, raw, wild. She didn't care who was in the room. She didn't care if she looked crazy. "Lord, you said in your word, there shall be no miscarriage or barren woman in your land. I will fulfill the number of your days." Exodus 23 verse 26. You said, "Shall I bring to the moment of birth and not cause delivery, says the Lord? Shall I who gives delivery shut the womb, says your God?" Isaiah 66 verse 9. "I refuse to bury my child." She prayed in tongues. She wept. She groaned. Lewis joined her, praying over the lifeless child, still in the incubator. Then suddenly, a nurse screamed, "Doctor, doctor, come, there's movement." Everyone rushed in. The doctor pressed his stethoscope to the baby's tiny chest. Then, "We're picking up a pulse." A faint heartbeat. Gasps filled the room. The incubator lit up. The machines began to beep again. The baby twitched, like someone gently shook him awake. The room went silent. Then the baby cried. A loud, strong, beautiful cry. Maya collapsed to the bed, laughing and crying at the same time. My God is not a man that he should lie. He is a way maker, a promise keeper, the resurrection and the life. The doctors were in shock. Everyone who heard about it walked into their hospital room to see. Broken heart to the one who's hurting, to the one who's been praying and waiting and crying in secret, to the one who is tired of trusting God, to the one who feels like nothing is working, to the one whose heart is silently shouting, "God, where are you? Why me? Why would you let this happen?" Please listen to this. God sees you, even in silence. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you're tired. Yes, you're starting to feel like maybe God has forgotten you. But here is truth. God has not left you, even when you don't feel him, even when your prayers feel like they're hitting a wall, even when things keep falling apart instead of coming together. He's still there. Open book, remember Job? He lost everything. His children, his money, his health, his peace. He even said, "I cried to you for help and you do not answer me. I stand, and you only look at me." Job 30 verse 20. Job questioned God. He felt abandoned. But God wasn't silent forever. At the right time, God answered and restored everything Job lost double. Sparkle's delay is not denial. Sometimes, God isn't saying no. He's saying not yet. Not because he enjoys seeing you suffer. Never. But because some victories must be complete, not rushed. Some blessings require preparation. You may think you're ready now, but God is setting things up behind the scenes, aligning people, timing, places. Just because the door hasn't opened yet, doesn't mean it won't. Though it tarries, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not delay. Habakkuk 2 verse 3. Pensive face if you're angry at God. He's not afraid of your honesty. You can tell him, "God, I'm tired. I don't understand you right now. I feel forgotten." He's your father, not your enemy. Even Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Matthew 27 verse 46. If Jesus himself could feel that pain, it means you're not faithless for feeling it too. But don't stay in that place. Don't disconnect. Don't stop talking to him. Even if all you can say is, "God, I don't get it, but I still believe you're good." Broom keeps sweeping. Like Maya, maybe you've been sweeping and praying and serving, and nothing has changed. Still no answer. Still no breakthrough. But listen, your obedience is planting seeds in the spirit. Your tears are water on dry ground. Your service is not being ignored. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Psalm 126 verse 5. Don't quit too early. You don't know how close you are to breakthrough. Lightbulb, this isn't the end. You will look back at this season one day and say, "God, now I understand." You will see why he allowed the delay. You will thank him for what didn't work. You will bless him for what you thought was a curse. But right now, just hold on, even by a thread. Even if your prayers are just sobs and whispers. Dove, final words. Let this be your prayer today. Lord, I don't need to understand everything. I just need you to walk with me through it. Hold me when I can't hold myself. Give me strength when I have none. And when it's time, let my story give you glory. God is still God. God is still good. And God is still coming. You will testify. Inside the church, she kneels quietly after Thanksgiving. The apostle, gentle yet discerning, walks up to her. His voice is low but firm. The church is quiet, still, almost holy. Apostle softly, Maya, I want to see you and Alex after service. Maya looks up, eyes brimming. She smiles, a fragile, grateful kind. He doesn't smile. Back in Apostle's office, Maya and Alex walked in and sat quietly. Apostle calmly, but Maya, do you know your breakthrough didn't come because of how much you prayed? Maya's expression shifts. Confused. She whispers, Sir. Apostle firmly, yes, you prayed. You cried. You served. But your victory came the day you obeyed, when you swept the floor in silence and stayed faithful even when your heart was broken. But that's not even the lesson I want you to take with you. He looks her in the eyes. Apostle, Maya, if you had dated Alex, it would have ended the same way as the others. Not because he was bad, but because the battle you were fighting was spiritual. God didn't even allow it begin because he knew you wouldn't be able to hide the excitement. You would have told people. You would have posted it. You would have shared it. And the enemy would have stolen it like the rest. Maya begins to cry again, not from pain this time, but from understanding. Apostle, gently but deeply, the devil does not attack what he doesn't know. There is a level of breakthrough that only comes with silence. Sometimes, the greatest act of warfare is discretion. If there's one thing you must take from this battle, Maya, let it be this. Protect your promise in its infancy. Not everything God is doing needs to be announced. You don't always need to explain. Just obey, and let the fruit speak when it's ripe. He places his hand on her shoulder. Apostle whispering, your obedience opened the gate, but your silence preserved the blessing. The camera lingers on Maya's face, overwhelmed, but free. A peace she never knew begins to settle on her like oil.